It's another week of trying to stay alive in our survivor pools.
Survivor, man, that's like the beer bong of the contest.
We got knocked out of Survivor in week 1.
I think it's in my rules of Survivor. I think no Jaguars.
Every week, you can be done.
Survive and advance with us right now on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM.
BetQL Daily, Joe O, Sammy P. We did not follow those rules. We also, Joe, did not follow GRP's 4 commandments of Survivor. We are both out.
Neither
Welcome
did
back
he.
to the morning show that bets. Neither did he, unfortunately, which is a clip that is still going semi-viral on the social media side of things. But a man who has survived and advanced joins us now on the show. His name is David Woodley, a 4-time World Series of Poker champion, the former president at Playmaker, and the CRO at Ball is Life. I can read as many titles as I want. The reality, David, is you're a gambler. And you love action. That's what you are. And you have maybe the best position of anybody I know in the entire country. Take the audience through all the entries you still have alive in Survivor.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, thanks for having me. Good to always chat with you, Sammy. Especially in person, not over text. Yeah, I mean, the main one, obviously, the one everyone talks about is like the circa, I think it's like 14 or 15 million at this point. Started with 5. Got 2 left, which we will take because it's under 500 at this point. So yeah, I got 2 left in there and feel pretty good about it because I was able to get through last week without having listen, every week's been like a buzzsaw, but was able to get both mine through last week without having to use the Niners, which was heavily concentrated on the Niners and the Jets. Obviously, the Jets didn't make it through, but I was able to get through with like the Cowboys and Cincy. Really haven't had to use any premium teams yet. So I mean, we got a shot in there, like somewhere between 0.5% and probably 1.5%, depending on the strength of the entries.
It's a shot that not a lot of people have. Okay, so you're in a number of pools. I know some of the big ones over at Splash. Some other sports books have their own in addition to Circa's. Managing multiple entries, how do you go about it? Do you sit back and say, okay, we're heavy this team. I like this team as well. Do we want to go 70-30 when you're picking 3-4 teams? Like, how do you view it? And then in these pools that you have multiple entries, do you pick the same teams in all of the pools, or do you try to separate it? Just managing multiple entries. I think a lot of people that play that way have a tough time with that.
Yeah, I mean, this year it's been interesting. I mean, like, with Circa with the 5, like I think in theory you're supposed to go like choose one team as long as possible. Like I know that's probably advantageous in the long run, but I kind of split it up from the jump. I was doing like first week I did like it was 2 Seahawks, 2 Vikings, and then there was like a third safer one. So I've been kind of chopping it up, and it's been working, and I'll probably continue to do that till I have like 1 left. Again, I don't know if that's like the optimal way, but it works. I got pretty far a couple years ago. I got like 21st a couple years ago in this as well. So what if it's not broke? Why fix it? But it is crazy because each contest has its own challenges, right? I mean, with Circa, you have the Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. Circa's probably gonna be a little bit sharper than the other ones. I'm in Splash and have a couple partners in that. We got 150 entries in that one, and that one is a lot to handle. We went really heavy on like 2 week 1 and continue to sort of like heavy it up. So I'm down. That one's down to about 5. It's down to 509 people, and I have 31 entries left. So by far, I have the most entries left of anybody. So like it would be very foolish of me, in my opinion, to heavy up on one team, but kind of keeping the strategy still there, right? Like take 2/3 of them, concentrate them on 2 teams, and then kind of sprinkle it here and there. Maybe pick an island here and there. I mean, when you're starting with 150 entries, you really can do a lot. I have a ton of spreadsheets, I have a ton of data models, all that as well. There's another one we're in for like 1.88 million. That's very straightforward. Like no Christmas, no Thanksgiving. We got it a few years ago and it chopped like 30 ways. I don't know if it's going to chop 30 ways this time, but we're playing it more straight, so you don't have to worry as much about saving these teams for Thanksgiving and stuff. So like each one of these sort of contests, like the strategy varies a bit. I think that's kind of the key. And then there's like the last one where it was 180 people and we're down to 4, and we chopped like a third of the pool earlier this week, which is nice to get some money off the table. But again, like we're down to 4 on that one. So like there's really, you got to kind of be smart on that, where going chalk actually isn't the worst thing. Like, you don't want to get too cute on it. Like, in a thing like Circa, you have to take some big risks. We had a heavy position on Washington week 2, right? Now Washington looks like a world beater, but back then I think they're it was when they played the Giants and they were like a point favorite, right? But we took a heavy stand on that and it worked out. But would we do that in a 4-person left survivor now? No. Like, would we heavy
Right.
up on something like that now? No, because we do have sort of leverage and position and all that. But to wrap it up, I look at it like a ton of data and I talk to a lot of people, and at the end of the day, you kind of just have to go with your gut, right? So it's worked so far.
I could watch Joe watch you talk about Survivor for the rest of the hour. Joe is Mr. Survivor. He's running pools. You start talking angles and narratives, and Joe just kind of, because I just can't imagine having 36 entries left. I wouldn't even know what to do. Now you're down to 31 because you had 5 on Arizona in the one pool. I wouldn't even know what to do. I'm so dumb. I would be like, well,
Yeah.
I could pick every team. Then
Right.
I'd lose 15 entries like that, and then I'd panic. I wouldn't know what to do with 30 entries left. I imagine that's not as simple as it sounds.
No, and over at Splash, this is kind of like, it's they're using old, they bought up some of those old companies, right? And this, like, I think their first or second year where they've kind of run their own contest. So um
Mhm.
we've kind of found a bit of an angle there, which is like it is not the easiest. It takes a long time if you have 150 entries on there. Like, it's not, you have to click, go back, click, go back, click, go back, and it's
Yeah.
not really constructed in a way that's like super user friendly. There's not a really easy way to like scrape the data from it. Like, I mean, I literally have like a spreadsheet. I started it last week when there was like 800 left. Like, every single entry, every single thing everybody's used. It took forever. I was up all night doing it. But at this point, you're now kind of keeping an eye on like the other entries that have multiple entries in it, right? Like, trying to figure out like where they're going to go and where you can sort of gain some leverage on it. So like, there is more thinking that comes into it. But at the end of the day, there's still 500 left. So the key is survive, right? You can also I have found that you can get too cute at times too, trying to be like too clever. And the reality is you could try to get on an island, but the odds that like you're going to be on an island and win this week is still pretty slim. I think you can start looking at that when it's down to like 30, 40, 50 maybe. But again, it comes down to like surviving, right? I think you can overthink everything in life, and you can definitely overthink this, and you just have to find that balance of like where you think you're being smart and the right move, but without being like too clever. Because at the end of the day, like, whatever, like, you win or you don't. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the beauty with Survivor, right? You win or you lose.
Kelly, let's start with Survivor. You mentioned last week that you were going San Francisco. Oh, an easy week. Just kick your feet up, one of those kind of weeks. And you gave us some of the details going on behind the scenes, that there were some people that you partnered up with. So now you've got 4 brains, and it is a tough week with Survivor. There's only one game where you've got a touchdown or higher point spread, and you've used that team. So I'd imagine it's starting to get a little bit difficult when you have all these opinions with these 2 spots.
Yeah, we've used that team, but one of the teams used the Bills the first week, so we do still have Seattle available. Daniel Jones,
Yeah.
5-22 when not playing at 1 p.m. Isn't that insane? I saw that stat this week and I thought, all right, we're going to use Seattle. And then I started looking at the game a little bit more and I kind of started to back off of maybe liking Seattle as much as I did. I want to tell you this, I'm going to be a huge Cardinals fan. Definitely on Sunday, 7.5. I heard you guys talking about the teaser. If it hits 7, maybe we'll get some things to go our way. But there was some really interesting sharp money that came in on the Chiefs. John Murray said over at the Superbook. So he threw the Chiefs out. I said, we need them for Black Friday, Thanksgiving week, or do we need them for Christmas? It's where it gets really dicey. Do I think that this contest is going to go all the way to the end? I actually do. Even though we've
Mhm.
seen such a bloodbath early on, I do think it will start to level out. And you want to save the good teams. Last week in Splash, I used the Bears. So he and I survived that because that contest is a different strategy. It's double picks from week 12 to 18. Let's just put it this way. I started sweating mid-show on Bet on It, and now you've already got me sweating at 11 a.m. on a Thursday. It's going to be a very long weekend with Survivor.
Although sometimes I think you're guilty of bringing extra sweat to the party, and what I mean by that is you're already talking about selling stakes of your entry that you've already added 2 people to. So Some of this is your
Whoa,
fault.
whoa. I've gotten people sending me offers and I have to do my due diligence. I don't hedge. We all know this. Like, you can guarantee yourself money, fine. I'm not ready to hedge just yet. We can start talking about big numbers later on. There's websites you can sell your stuff on. I kind of perused around just to get a general idea of what things we're going for. The two offers that were presented to us, I voted no on. So I would like to not be thrown in with the cash out button because that's not what I was trying to do.
I don't mean cash out. I thought you were saying that people were trying to buy a stake of the entry, so then you would add more cooks in the kitchen on the picks. That's what I thought.
Right.
So, like, let's use an example. My buddy Steven said, "Hey, I'd like to own 10%. Here's $8,000, but I want no say in it." And I said, "All right, I'll present it to the
Okay.
group." I definitely want less people with less say. I actually joked, John Murray's good friend from college is our other partner. I've never met him. He's a big Jags fan. I said, they threw out Broncos, they threw out Jags. I said, let's just use the Jags because that way when Denver loses or Jacksonville loses, like, it's not my fault.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. What are you doing with this other spot? That's what I've been thinking about. I'm with you with the concerns with Seattle. I don't like that, especially if Neighbors plays. And you mentioned some of the other teams. Now you're at these 3.5 point favorites. Like, seriously, I'm not having this conversation about Jacksonville. And
I don't
they're a
want
home
to.
favorite. No. But you're going to be forced into a tough one here in week 5. Yeah, it's one of my commandments, KIV.
Joe says no Jacksonville
Pick
ever,
for
on
or
against.
You never
And
pick the
that's
Jacksonville
fine.
game. Yeah.
And I don't blame you. But what do you want me to use? New England? This is the best spot to use New England.
No.
Do you think I really would feel comfortable doing that? I don't want to use Atlanta tonight. I don't usually like playing Thursday games, even though we did go double Jets a couple weeks ago. The
Right.
Washington Commanders
Green
is
Bay.
terrifying.
Green Bay.
I don't know if I can stomach Caleb Williams for another week after using them last week in Splash. Can I trust this team to win back-to-back games? And the aforementioned Denver Broncos, this is the spot to use them. Boy,
No.
oh boy, is it the spot ever to use that team? You guys, I am in I'm in hell right now. I'm in survivor hell.